There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Rarely going where no one has gone before. Welcome to the Captain's Chair, a podcast on all the shows in the Star Trek universe of the Fangirl Zone. I am Redhirt Dave, and joining me on this mission into the unknown is...
I'm Sean Fangirl S, who still doesn't know what her rank is, and today we'll be discussing episode 7 of season 2 of Lower Deck. But before we jump into this, we do have some feedback from 2 weeks ago episode 5 from Jazz. So let's take a listen.
Hello, this is Jazz with a review of Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 5. This episode was filled with Easter eggs from the various series, and I captured a few of them. I swear I saw Boothby. I love that they had a DS9 model with both Daxes, Ezri and Jadzia Dax, that they'll never finish, so they can always be working together and nobody will bug them. I love that there was a Kirk and Spock area on the bar. It was essentially Kirk and Spock drank here, and then it was right next to it, it was Mariner and Boimler. That was cool, and the fact that now Boimler has to grow a beard, because all number ones have to have a beard, so that was classic. Good that Mariner and Boimler talk. Mariner is still not taking responsibilities for her actions, and if she continues on, she will run out of ships and people to annoy, which I don't think will help well when you're a captain and nobody likes you. But hopefully she'll change her stripes now that she's on the Cerritos and actually seems to have some true friends. So that can make a big difference. It's always good to have good or bad times. Makes it easier if you have a buddy with you. I love that there was a Quark's on the station, and Quark normally wore a green outfit or jacket, and I saw someone who looked like that who was standing next to a clothing rack. So I thought that that was a nice nod. There was Vulcans from the first contact. They had the silver, sparkly looking outfit, and there was even a Captain Pike with glasses character. And he had 2 beeps, which means no, like please don't run over me. And there was a Gorn, and there was, of course, the pirate who was the DJ, and the barbers who had bald heads from DS9, who were the barbers there. I loved the fact that the transporter was used to get the replicator guy to show up at the party, and then he replicated and ruined their party because they were gatekeepers and jerks. So it was good that they decided to have a smaller party with just a bunch of them because they enjoyed each other's company. I thought it was an homage to all the various versions of Star Trek, as well as being very funny to see them running around in golf carts and running over everybody. So, and I'm sure that Boimler knew what he was getting into when he's like, oh, sure, I'll go do this with you. He should have known that he was going to be screaming his head off soon, but I still think he likes it more than he did the Titan. Thoroughly enjoyed the episode, loved all the homages. You could enjoy it without knowing all the Easter eggs, but it did make a very nice touch. So love the animation and voice acting. Thanks.
Those are some good catches, because I know I didn't catch all of those. And I know I said I was going to go back and try to find them all, but it's like, yeah, that's crazy. There's so many.
I got a feeling she lives next door to Steve. Maybe sharing notes or something like that. Yeah, great feedback.
I love that she picked up that Quark was there, because I did not see that at all.
So, the Quarks?
No, not the store, but that he was supposed to be there.
Was he?
I mean, if she's seeing it, she probably seen more than I did.
I thought she was just pointing out, well, never mind.
Well, somebody who looked like he could be Quark.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jazz, yeah, first of all, great pickup on all of those, because like we said, we didn't get all of them. There were so many. And then just the different outfits. So I didn't even catch that it was, what's it called? Like from First Contact. So.
What, the Vulcans?
Yeah, like it didn't dawn on me, because I enjoy the movies and everything, and I just don't retain, I guess, as much as everybody else does in regards to where they came into what timeline.
Yeah, this show definitely has an encyclopedic reference to all the episodes we've seen before. I mean, if you're a Trekker.
Remember everybody? Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a good one, because it's like, oh yeah, that's cool, I know, but maybe I guess I don't know as much as I want to know. Because I don't remember any of these.
That's a lot to remember. What was your initial reaction overall?
For this, sorry, thanks, Jazz, for your feedback. We appreciate it, and we hope we hear more from you. But initial reaction for episode 7, I liked it. I was a little worried, actually, because the way things started to play out, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But I liked it because, again, I've said before, Lower Decks is my palate cleanser for the week because it never goes to that super dark place. But it was kind of scaring me this week that it was going to a dark place.
Yeah, at one point.
Like, no, but it turned out great, and I loved it, and I was laughing through a lot of it, so bonus.
I know we're not rating them, but if we did, I would give it 5 out of 5 royal copulations. I thought it was hilarious.
I happened to watch the game show The Hustler.
Yeah.
Brought up, one of the questions this week was, what is sildenafil? And I'm like thinking, well, sildenafil is something that Lieutenant Commander Billups might want to try out because we're not working very well for him. I'm just saying. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But episode 7, Where Pleasant Fountains Lie, we have Mariner and Boimler stranded on an uninhabited planet with a sentient computer. On the Cerritos, Lieutenant Commander Billups must prove his engineering abilities to an old adversary. That's kind of a rough description.
An old adversary? I know.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, kind of a cold open for it, too. I like it. You know what? I was trying to fit my theory around this before I had even seen the episode. Thought one of my tinfoil hat theories is that William, the other Boimler that's on the Titan, is going to be stranded somewhere, and then we're going to have SEX. and then reveal that it was really Williams. They didn't go there. I guess it's only me that's thinking about SEX. So Freeman and Ransom are securing an evil computer, which was hilarious. Agamus, which is responsible for manipulating a society to fight a war over the last century. Agamus tries to get them to plug him into a mainframe, but Ransom is not fooled and has him packed away and given to the Daystrom Institute. Another reference.
Bring Picard now, because they hadn't talked about Daystrom before Picard, right?
I'm not sure. Oh, wait, yeah, I think they did. Anyway, after returning to the Cerritos, they receive a hail from the starship Monivan and Ponola, queen of Hysperians. Did I say that right? Polona. How about Polona? Appears on screen. A chesty character, too. Freeman asks her what they can do for her, and she says that Monavine? Is it Monavine? Monovine is having engine trouble with their engineers are unable to solve. Request the help of the chief engineer, since the Cerritos is the closest starship vessel in range. I guess we should start smelling a rat there.
Yeah.
Freeman.
Is it the only post?
Freeman is unsurprised as Andy Billups enters the bridge. As he enters, Polona excitedly greets him with a barrage of questions. Billups sighs and annoys and replies, "Hello, mother."
That was a little strange for me, but it's very Deanna Troi.
Yeah, very much.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That was classic.
In the lower decks crew bunks, Mariner notices Boimler cleaning a phaser rifle as he's going on a mission to wrangle giant centipedes on Dance. Boimler calls her jealous of his mission since she will again be taking Agamus to the Daystrom Institute, and he's happy that Ransom is taking his experience aboard the Titan a little more seriously. And right when he said this, I'm just like, oh, things are going to go awry. I just knew things were going to go awry.
I was thinking, dude, how long were you on the Titan?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't very long.
Not that long. Boimler.
However, as he says this, he gets a message on his pad to report for reassignment, as he will be joining Mariner on her trip to Daystrom Institute, much to his disappointment. Cerritos rendezvous with the Monavine, and Billups addresses engineering that his mother will be aboard and reminds them of her usual deceptions. Rutherford is confused by what he means, and Billups has to tell him that his mother is Queen of Hesperia, which is his homeworld. Upon joining Starfleet, he abdicated his birthright as prince. Okay, doesn't sound too bad so far. But then, however, his mother never approved of him joining Starfleet and is actively trying to trick him into engaging in sexual intercourse, since by Hesperian law, if he were to lose his virginity, he would be forced to resign from Starfleet and take his place as King of Hesperia. Just wondering, I mean, you're just going to assume he's going to tell you and be honest? Or is there some other way?
Forced to enough. He'll walk around with a different glow. Hey, you seem different today.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't think sex is something that I really wanted to have, like, a big conversation with the entire kingdom, not just, like, your family. Talk about awkward. Let's really get awkward, apparently. But we have Polana entering engineering, and Billups tells her that he will not be tricked into having sex. He's all mad about it. Well, not.
I know.
Like, oh my gosh. Weird conversations, to say the least. But she reassures him, I'm not here to do that. And just the way the conversation was going was uncomfortable anyway. It's like, ugh, yeah, stop. Saying that while she still sees his career as insignificant, she realizes that trying to coerce him into sex is only pushing him away. Again, stop. I don't want to talk to your mom.
Strangest plot line ever.
Yes.
Hilarious.
She tells him that her ship's engines have been breaking down and they cannot find the problem. Worried that Hesperia will be defenseless without them, she asks for Billups to help her, not as prince, but as an engineer. Billups accepts this request and assigns Rutherford to assist him. Everything seems pretty good, and I knew something wasn't going to be right. Rutherford is quite nervous about assisting Billups as he feels that he's out of his element on the Monavie, but Tendi assures him that he belongs there just as much as anyone else, because Tendi is so super hype girl. Get out of your comfort zone.
Trying to help her friend.
I think it's great. She asks him if he can truly turn down working on a new engine he's never seen before. And Rutherford admits that it would be interesting to see how a different engine works. Tendi gives him a further encouragement before bombarding him with advice on how to behave around the crew of the ship, making him even more nervous. Yeah, you're throwing it out. Maybe you should learn to curtsy. Maybe you should do this. Maybe it's like, whoa. Slow it down there, Tendi. Mariner and Boimler are on a shuttlecraft headed for Earth, and Mariner tries to cheer Boimler up, who is still disappointed that he got reassigned to this mission. She tells them that once they drop Agamis off, they'll go grab some Okinawan ramen, but as she says this, the shuttlecraft lurches violently and begins to spiral out of control. They quickly realize that they've hit a gravimetric shear, which, weren't we just talking about this last episode? And they're caught in a gravity well. It's like, those were the things that the other red shirts were telling them, okay, you have to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you talk it up, it happens. They lose
there you go,
control.
Jinx.
They find themselves careening toward the surface of a desert planet and crash into the surface.
Mariner and Boimler regain consciousness after the crash. Mariner suffers a fracture on her arm, but pops it back into place before taking a reading on her tricorder. Pretty tough. She determines the atmosphere is breathable. That should have been obvious right away. And looks outside, noting a large amount of wreckage around them. Boimler reports that the shuttlecraft systems are down and that they are unable to send a distress call. And since that's like in every show we watch where you can't get a cell service.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, since their outside communication rate will be at least a week before anyone notices they are missing, which always happens on TV, too. Mariner notes that at least the replicator has survived and orders some iced tea, but the replicator instead replicated black licorice, much to her dismay. That was funny.
I don't like black licorice, so I'm like, ooh. It's like, this is the worst. I agree.
It's red licorice. It's popular in our household. At that moment, they hear a call for help and move some wreckage aside to see that Agamis is the source of the voice. At first, I didn't think it was, too. Oh, right, it's the evil computer. As they are prohibited from interacting with him, Boimler tries to close the case he's in, but the case is too badly damaged to close. Agamis tries to reason with them, saying he's able to contact help and ask them to let him help. Further, Rutherford and Billups board them on a beam, and Billups tells Rutherford that Hesperian culture can be quite distracting and to be ready for it. They walk past numerous family portraits and enter a majestic room that is based heavily on designs mirrored in the Renaissance. Rutherford is astounded by the environment, though Billups is less than impressed and annoyed that the crew of the Monavine enthusiastically welcome him back. They make their way to the engine room where Polona briefs them about the problem using terminology that confuses Rutherford as Hesperians rename their equipment to make everything sound more magic.
That was funny, though.
It was. They began to inspect the levels of the primary fusion reactor called the Dragon's Blood Flame. Rutherford notes how the subspace field matrix should be online. Billups notes that with the matrix offline, the plasma levels would be unregulated, and Polona asks if this problem is too much for him to handle, much to his annoyance.
I thought he was going to, give his mom a smackdown. I'm just saying.
I know. He says that they will need to run a full diagnostic, and Polona leaves with her guards as Billups and Rutherford begin their work back on the planet. Mariner and Boimler are eating some emergency rations, and Agamus voices concern about Boimler's health, and Mariner warns him that talking to Agamus will result in letting his guard down with Agamus. Yeah, it's kind of like a Calypso, making you see things that aren't there, like brainwaves.
Yeah.
Agamus offers, yes, more crossover. As Agamus offers to power a sonic shower for them if they connect him to an engineering conduit, but he offers this, a creature roars in the distance and charges at them. They fire their phasers at the creature, but it resists their phaser fire, and they retreat back into the shuttlecraft and realize the creature is eating the rest of their ration. Oh! While they hold back the creature, Agamus connects to the Mariner's pad and initiates a data transfer before Mariner cuts him off. Mariner. That's like leaving, little purple diamond pieces, and just covered by a cloth.
Find them.
Who does that? Agamus apologizes and says he won't cause any trouble. Brother. The next morning, Mariner tries to replicate some water, only for the replicator to replicate some more liquor, and Agamus offers to fix the replicator. Boimler notes that they will need to find water soon, and since, I like how they get bags under their eyes, and since there's life on this planet, it's safe to assume there is water nearby. Agamus offers to guard the computer while they go look for water, and Boimler begins to strap him to his chest, like one of the colors baby things.
A baby Bjorn, kind of.
A baby Bjorn. Mariner wonders why they don't just bury him, but Boimler reminds her that as Starfleet officers, they must respect sentient life. This is probably when his plan started forming, I guess. They journey through the desert and eventually come upon a tree that bears fruit, and Mariner offers to climb up and get it, but Boimler decides to climb up instead due to her fractured arm, and the fact that he took up rock climbing on the Titan. Even I was getting sick of the references by then. Mariner expresses her frustration that she is getting tired of him constantly talking about the time on the Titan, but Boimler just believes that she's jealous that he's picking up more of her skills. Boimler ends up falling from the tree, and when Mariner teases him, he kicks the tree in frustration, causing some of the fruit to fall. They realize the fruit is filled with a liquid, and they eagerly grab the fruits and quench their thirst, only to find the liquid tastes exactly like black licorice. Of course it
made it. I'm just
that'd be gross.
Because that is exactly what ouzo tastes like. If you've
I know.
ouzo.
Yeah. I don't know why people drink it. No offense. They continue to drink it reluctantly, while Agamus says that he could have fixed their replicator and tempts them, saying that he could be enjoying a cheeseburger, a blueberry muffin, or some guacamole. But up with them, Boimler and Mariner bury him in the sand as he protests. Later that night, Agamus is unearthed by some crabs that carry him away. Boimler chases.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I know, it was hilarious. Boimler chases the crabs away, and as thanks, he reveals to Boimler that he has accessed the memory banks of the ship and shows an exchange between Mariner and Ransom, in which Mariner asks Ransom to take Boimler off the mission to dance. Angry, Boimler approaches Mariner and berates her, pulling him from the mission. At first, I thought he was making it up. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that she did that. It's like, oh, that's not cool, Mariner. It's like, I know you guys are like BFFs, but that's not cool.
A little strange for Ransom to acquiesce to it, too. Is he that lazy? He's supposed to be like the hero type. And like, yeah, go ahead.
Dave, are we watching the same show?
Well, considering the captain goes out for drinks with her. As soon as they solve a case, let's go for a drink, and they leave the bridge. Mariner realizes that Agamus revealed this to him, tells him that Agamus is deliberately trying to get them to fight, but Boimler is convinced. He is part of Calypso. He's angry that he'll make Ransom believe that he's not ready for a heart attack, and Mariner says that the fact that he's being so easily manipulated by Agamus only proves that. Whoa. She picks Agamus up and refuses to let Boimler close to it. On Amonabine, Rutherford is impressed with the speed at which Billups is able to recalibrate the planet injectors. Did you think something romantic was going to happen between them?
I was a little worried. I will tell you that.
Were you? Okay.
Like, oh, what are we doing? What's going on?
I know. I thought that was part of the setup. I'm like, is this where we're going? Find some faulty resonators that are degrading from all the residents. Billups finds it odd they didn't come up with that in the initial scan. Polona declares the Royal Navy is saved, and the crew cheers for Billups and Rutherford. She admits that she is impressed, but will only be proud when he takes her place on the Hesperian throne. That moment, Freeman calls Billups to report to her ready room. Billups instructs Rutherford to finish up, and that he will be back. Billups reports to Freeman, and Freeman admits that she only called him over because she assumed his mother would be up to her usual antics. She had some insight. Billups admits there has been... What?
I was going to say, yeah, she knew more than we really thought.
Yeah.
but do you think that it would have worked out the same way had she not called him over?
Nope, I don't think so. This is a narrative device, I thought. Well, anyway, Billups admits that things have been different this time and believes she finally respects him. Freeman understands Milano's position as a mother and that she really wants the best for Billups. And at that moment, a massive explosion rips a hole in the side of the Amanavine, much to their horror.
Yeah, at the same time, when he admits that, it's like, oh, again, things are going to go awry. Because it's like, I think she finally believes in me. Nope. That's exactly what I thought.
I totally believed it. I don't know. Freeman and Billups rush back to the Amanavine where the crew is in disarray, confused on what happened. Billups is at a loss for what happened as the readings he took were nominal. At that moment, one of Polonia's royal guards approaches the Needles, holding Polonia's scarf and laments, "Long live the Queen! The Queen is dead!" Back in the Cerritos sick bay, Dr. Ta'ana approaches Tendi reluctantly and tells her that there was an accident on the Amanavine. I was buying into it. I'm like, oh no.
Well, yeah, when that all happened, I was like, holy crap. And then with Dr. Tiana looking really, upset, like she didn't want to tell Tendi.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is getting a little darker than I was expecting. I was like, oh my gosh, they can't kill off Rutherford.
I thought they did.
I was freaking out.
I know. Tendi says she can prepare for triage, but before she can say anything else, Ta'ana hands her a pad which lists Rutherford as killed in the accident. And I was like, I can't do this. She rushes over to see the massive hull breach and begins to cry. Like, I totally bought into it. So they killed off Rutherford. Funniest,
not cool with that. I was not cool at all.
Funniest episode they ever had, and they kill off a character. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Right. And that's why I was like, wait, this can't be real, right? This can't be real. And then I'm thinking, okay, this is an animated show. Quit freaking out so much. But still, it's one of those things like, oh my God, they're just going to start dropping our characters now.
Yeah.
We get enough of that in Doctor Who. Can we not get that here? Like, too many of my characters that I love are being killed off everywhere. But Mariner and Boimler come upon a ship, and they discover that the engines are in fact intact. But the hatch that leads into the ship are sealed shut. It's easy to say. Agamus offers to open the door, but Mariner's like, I'll go check another ship. And Boimler objects, saying that Agamus can get them in right here. And this is where I was getting worried, because the argument was starting to heat up, and I was like, again, what's happening to our people?
It's Eclipso, I'm telling you.
Mariner says that since the crash, Agamus has done nothing but try to connect to a computer. And Boimler's like, yeah, but I thought you would be willing to do anything to get out of here. And if Agamus could help, why not? And she's like, oh, that's a stupid idea because he's a super villainous computer. Duh. Boimler demands Mariner to give Agamus to him because she's carrying him right now. And she's like, no, you're too naive. Boimler then charges Mariner. What? He tackles her to the ground, sick of her bossy nature. And watching this fight that's now happening, Agamus, of course.
He's like the evil emperor on Star Trek. Good.
Mariner approaches Agamus and Boimler pulls out his phaser, threatening to stun her. Well, at least it was only stun.
I guess. Wow.
I love, and every time somebody says this, you're like, why? Why do you say this? Oh, I don't believe you're going to shoot me. And then it's like, has nobody ever watched a show ever?
Yeah.
This basically happened. Agamus assures Boimler that you had no other choice. Let's get to the ship. Plug me in. Yeah, you're a little too excited there, Agamus.
You have to admit, he was the funniest evil computer.
Oh my God. His last name is Combs that did.
Yeah. Jeffrey Combs? Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs, yeah. From
It was awesome.
Reanimator. If you've never seen it, go watch it because it was like, you got that weird vibe too here. But it's fun. And I loved how well he did everything with this, by the way. Boimler takes Agamus to the door and he successfully gets the door open. Back on the Cerritos, though, Freeman is going over the casualty list and Billups enters the room followed by 2 Hysperian royal guards. She expresses her deepest condolences and Billups regretfully says that he must resign from Starfleet. He says that I was trying to prove something to my mother the whole time and all it did was get people killed. Okay, that's a little over the top, but okay. It's not like you set up the ship to blow up. While Freeman tries to convince him otherwise, Billups says that he has a throne that's now vacant and the Hysperians need him. I have to step up as king and I must royal copulation. I no longer have the luxury of being your chief engineer. I just couldn't get past the royal copulation part.
I know, it was hilarious.
So obviously he could never be a Riker in this show is all I'm saying.
Is that when he ripped off his shirt? I can't remember when he ripped off his shirt. Maybe that comes later. I don't know. It was so funny. Of course, naturally underneath the shirt, he's all muscular.
Aren't they all? Somehow when they take off their shirts, like, wait, what? Where'd those 6-packs come from? She asks if he's sure that he wants to do this, and Billups replies he doesn't and wishes him luck, and Billups is escorted out of the ready room by the royal guard as they leave, and this was Billups hurt.
Yeah.
A little sad, but okay. Tendy's still in shock of what happened, but refuses to believe that Rutherford's dead. She goes to the computer and asks it to locate Rutherford. The computer detects Rutherford's cybernetic implants on the Monavine. Realizing that the implant is still transmitting, Tendy realizes that Rutherford could still be alive and rushes to get to the ship. Apparently, nobody on the Monavine thought about that.
Or on the Cerritos.
Yeah. Back on the planet, Mariner regains consciousness while Boimler and Agamus make their way to the bridge of the downed spacecraft. Boimler asks if Agamus is sure the ship can still fly, and Agamus assures Boimler that, oh yeah, I can bring the whole ship online when I access the computer. All I kept thinking is, yeah, it might be able to fly. Doesn't mean it's going to have atmosphere in there for you, because the computer doesn't need an atmosphere.
You know, there was holes all over that thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because Boimler, I thought, would be like, but what about this giant crack in the window, or this giant...
Yeah.
But he gives him access to the navigation controls, but realizes that the access port is locked behind a panel, and that we need auxiliary power to open it. So Agamus offers up his own battery to use, which Boimler connects to the console. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is so bad. But the ship's power comes on, much to Agamus's delight. And I was worried. I'm like, Boimler, you're gonna die. He's gonna kill you off. I'm like, no, not another one, and this one that was kind of funny. Don't kill everybody. On the Monavine, Tendy is regretting convincing Rutherford to take up this mission, and she comes upon a fancy dining room where the crew of the Monavine are merry and eating a grand feast of mutton. What is mutton? I still don't know.
It's lamb.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Now I know, and knowing's half battle. Tendy spots Rutherford, who is alive, unharmed, and is quite happy right now. And she tackles him in, well, her joy.
Yeah.
And she asks how he survived the explosion. And Rutherford's like, what are you talking about? And he was transported here by Polana for doing such a good job with the engines. And at that moment, Polana, who is very much alive, raises a glass and a toast for her son, who will soon be king since he's in the process of losing his royal virginity. Realizing that Billups has been tricked into giving up his career as an engineer, Rutherford scolds her that Billups doesn't want to be the king, and Polana only replies that, I don't care. He shouldn't have been wasting his time on the Cerritos anyway. I was like, wow, Mom changed her too quick.
Yep. Rutherford
tried to contact Billups, but a lute player, a magic melody that's blocking the combats. Rutherford...
I was going to say it's like Isaac Bowen.
Oh, like the violin. From Stargirl. Crossovers everywhere, people. Crossovers everywhere. Rutherford rushes out of the dining hall, eager to stop Billups from losing his... This is the weirdest thing that I've ever talked about. I'm telling you this right now. And I've talked about some weird stuff. So this is just a strange conversation we're all having amongst the fandom. Polona mocks him that he's too late because, oh my god, my royal guards are trained from birth to skip foreplay. It's like, how?
I know. Wow.
What? Who wrote this?
I know.
Rutherford rushes as fast as he can as Billups gets ready to give himself to two Hysperian royal guards. And Rutherford barges into Billups' quarters, worried that he was not in time to stop the act. And this is where I was like, oh, okay. However, Billups is in the bathroom, having trouble with little Billups. And Rutherford rushes to him, saying that everything was just a trick by his mother, much to Billups' joy. Now, when Billups decided to get undressed with the royal guard, I'm like, oh, apparently Starfleet doesn't give out underwear? Is that what we're saying here? Because he was going commando.
I'm not sure I should share this, but when Bill rushes in and he gets the good news, I thought all of a sudden Billups was going to get his mojo, if you know what I mean.
Oh, God. Oh, I loved it, though, because the two royal guards are just like,
I know.
See, maybe they shouldn't have skipped the foreplay then.
That's right. Wait, I'm not going to go there either.
As Boimler and Agamus are connected to the ship, Mariner rushes to the bridge to try to stop Boimler, but Agamus boasts that she's too late. And then we get a whole, villain monologue happening. Because with the materials on the ship, I'll be able to produce a fleet of murderous drones. And I will control the whole system with them, before mocking Boimler for trusting him. Boimler then reveals that, I didn't trust you. I used you. And, we needed your battery so I can transmit a distress signal, but you were too busy scheming to notice. And Agnes is flustered that he's was told he's plugged into the navcom, so what are you talking about? But Boimler's like, actually, you're just plugged into the dimmer for that. You're nowhere near the navcon. And I thought that was great because I was really worried about what was happening with Boimler this episode.
Yeah.
And Mariner was impressed with Boimler, saying, wow, you did this. I really thought you were siding with Agamus. Boimler's
the only one.
yeah, right? Got everybody thinking that. But I'm sorry for lying and stunning you, but I just needed to get Agamus to trust me so that I could access his battery. And Agamus is enraged at this revelation and tries to blind them by, well, flicking the lights off and on.
That was so funny.
Oh my gosh. I'm seriously like, how are you a voice actor doing this and not losing it? Like, when you know how the story's coming together, how do you not just crack up? Maybe it's a little easier because you're not face to face with the people.
Maybe.
But, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'd be able to get through it.
Now, how many outtakes have you seen from shows where they're always cracking each other up?
Right? Oh my gosh. So I could totally imagine how this would work out if they were face to face. Back on the Cerritos, Billups is confronting Paulana over trying to trick him once again by faking your own death, saying, I love my life here in Starfleet, and I don't want to live in Hesperia, even if that means that I'll be a virgin for the rest of my life. And again, still thinking, not like she's there with you if you're going to have some boom chicka wow wow. Nobody's going to necessarily know that unless they're a spy, I guess. Paulana is unconvinced but leaves while the engineering crew cheers for Billup. That's, again, kind of weird. Yay, you're good.
I know, it's so funny. Billup.
Tendi apologizes Rutherford for pushing him into working on the Monavine, but Rutherford says, I loved working on it though. It's like, alright, except for the weird blow-up part. I'm sure it was great. Rutherford said that there more than likely will be times where his jobs will put him in danger, but we can handle that, and Tendi seems nervous about that aspect of the job. I'm like, oh, is she like starting to mother him now? Or are we going to get feelings?
Feeling?
Guess it's kind of weird if you're lower decks. You can't exactly just take them back to your room.
Yeah, since the room is a hallway.
Right? It's like, Meanwhile, Mariner and Boimler have been rescued by Starfleet, and Agamus is along for the ride en route to Earth. And Agamus tells Mariner and Boimler that, you've shown me that trust and friendship is better than manipulation, and I'm ready to try it being good for a change. Sure you are.
Wow.
He claims to have deleted his manipulative subroutines and asks to be taken to Starfleet Academy so he can apply to be a Starfleet officer. Yeah, let me just plug into one of their computers. Ultimately, he's delivered to Daystrom and locked in the self-aware megalomaniac computer storage. I did not catch that that's what it was called.
This was one of the best written episodes they've had. It was so clever.
There were so many sentient computers. Like, wow. It's like super lockup for them, I guess.
It's still powered up, too, so they can fight with it.
As he's locked up, he vows that he will conquer this lab and take over the Federation and kill everyone. And Agamus proclaims this. Another computer activates and says he will annihilate the Federation before Agamus does, causing another one yet to activate and declare his own evil plans. As they continue to argue, more and more computer inmates activate and overlap each other because they're all going to bring the Federation down. And their plans for conquering the Federation, yada yada. You couldn't figure it out because there were so many. And I thought, is this a go-to? Like, back in the day, it's like, evil computer. Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, for sure.
Apparently, there were...
I know. No, it's just making fun of how they use evil computers as a, narrative or plot point.
It was good.
It goes back to the original series. I think it was Nomad. Yeah, he called it Nomad. He was to float around the original Enterprise, eventually having to kill everybody.
Gosh, it was just so great how all of it, like with all of the different computers, it's like, I wanted to know more about the computers. Like, give me a little, the crew of Deep Space Nine found this one, or Enterprise, like label them so I know what's going on.
I'm surprised there wasn't a Nomad stuck in one of those things and activated. They should have done that for a series that's always referring to backstories. You'd think that was one of the most obvious ones. They blew it. We caught him.
Maybe it was in there, and like it's one of them that were higher up, and we just didn't catch.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, ready for a few Easter eggs?
Oh, let's go.
Speaking of the evil computers, that scene at the Daystrom Institute at the end of the episode, one of them bears the CBS logo.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I did not catch that.
So the episode also introduces Andy Billups' mother and explores more of Billups' backstory, which I'm not sure we needed to know, but now we do. Pretty crazy. It further explains Ensign Barnes' characterizing Billups in Second Contact as having weak interactions with women. Aha! Knowing how to talk to women is kind of a guy's final frontier. I know. This is the first episode of Lower Decks to feature scenes on or near Earth. The Daystrom Institute is previously seen in Picard's Remembrance. So ends our Easter egg.
Talked about in any other of the series. I just knew Picard because that's the most.
Yeah, well, still going to call him out on missing Nomad.
Well, now you got to rewatch and see if Nomad is
Okay.
in one of those cells.
Okay.
If you even remember what it looked like.
Oh, sure.
I got to go back to see the one with the CBS logo. I didn't catch that. That's funny, though. CBS making fun of itself. Well, you know how we feel about this episode because I was cracking up, got a little nervous. I think Dave was pretty much the same.
Yeah, definitely.
But we want to know what you feel about this episode and each and every episode this season. Our deadline for feedback is 6 p.m. Eastern every Friday during the season. You can send your feedback via email or audio to contact us at fangirlzone.com.
Please review and rate us on iTunes. Good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us, as there are a lot of Star Trek Lower Decks podcasts out there. Tell your friends, and I hope you like our podcast. Don't forget to check out the other great Fangirl Zone podcasts.
You can go over to www.fangirlzone.com, click on our contacts page, and all the various ways to get a hold of us via Twitter, via Facebook, via emails directly to us. And please contact us because I want you guys to stump Steve and Dave because they have so many things that have stumped me. I want somebody to stump them. Come on.
The 8th episode is September 30th, entitled, we don't know, as usual. So until then, remember,
I'm Sean Fangirl S. And maybe turn your computers off when you're done.
And I'm Redshirt Dave. And I was eaten by an arthropod yesterday. It ejected me this morning while it was sitting on its throne.